Greetings and welcome. The question posed for this spread is, what can Generation X do? The summary interpretation of the spread: Generation X can succeed against odds. The first card on the top left is the Six of Swords, Science. Generation X had an anxious start during the Cold War. There were 72 million baby boomers in line ahead of them for jobs. Families were coming apart at a high rate or not even starting. The second generation of young women was getting college funding from NDSL, Pell Grants, and work-study jobs. They were finding data processing and airline hostessing jobs that got them free of financial dependence on fathers and husbands. Gen X didn't reach half the count of the baby boom. Fewer than 34 million were born in the USA between 1971 and 1995. The generation as defined by federal demographers, 25 years from birth to the starting of a family with the birth of a child. Science and work are traditional interpretations of this card. Reproductive science accounts for the birth rate dropping during this generation. Succeeding after a difficult start is also a traditional interpretation. Gen X can succeed. 10,000 jobs open for them every day as baby boomers leave the paid workforce and turn increasingly to volunteerism. The second card from the top left, 20, the Aeon. Generation X is able to make difficult decisions, and their decisions count. This generation is able and sometimes compelled by circumstances to weigh alternatives they did not expect as they search for their paths. In their 20s, many of the young men had to live at home with parents due to baby boomers glutting the job market, and few of these young men having GI Bill privileges to home ownership. Generation X knows from experience how to adapt and endure, making do, biding their time. The third card from the bottom, from the top left, is Ten of Swords, Ruin. Federal demographers saw ruin ahead in a nation with too few workers to replace the baby boomers, and the floodgates of immigration were opened, letting in vast numbers of foreign professionals to add to the number of adults available in the workplace. 34 million Gen X, not even 34 million Gen X, and they could not fully replace 72 million baby boomers. Federal government tried to populate the gap with immigrants. Now the federal government is finding it is almost impossible to stop the immigration influx when the nation seeks to preserve jobs for its own 100 million millennials being born. The government had let in immigrant workers during World War II, and then Eisenhower had reversed that. But in the 21st century, that immigration strategy has become problematic. Note the broken sword points on this card. Not all the paths worked. This 10 card symbolizes many of the Kabbalistic paths of the Tree of Life. In part, society had lied to Gen X, telling them to stay in school as long as possible, get the best skills they could. Still, they found many professions glutted. Yet their heart is strong emotionally and physically. Baby boomer and Gen X men are protecting their hearts after heart attacks took such a deep toll on the great generation and the silent generation. The top hilts of these 10 swords symbolize law, time, and faith. Higher values for Gen X. This generation is now literally a source of rare workplace maturity to mentor and supervise the 100 million millennials who follow. Cards 1 and 3 show that Gen X can assert itself against the background cultural noise. Cards 1 and 3 reinforce each other in this. Together, the first and third cards emphasize science, work, law, time, and faith. More and more, the now better educated public is turning to litigation to assert their constitutional rights. Life expectancy is increasing, granting time for leisure in which Gen X can see their aspirations succeed against ruin. The bottom right-hand card, Knight of Swords. Note that the sword cards in this spread appear in ascending order. A 6, a 10, a Knight. Fully 2/3 of this spread consists of swords. These symbolize the conflicts Generation X have encountered and which continue to face them. The leading edge of Gen X starts turning 50 years old in 2021. This is the age at which employer-paid health insurance premiums skyrocket. Perhaps Gen X employees will be rare enough to escape the downsizing that destroyed many baby boomer careers at or near the age of 50, when so many became unhireable because employers were unwilling to fund those skyrocketing health insurance premiums. The societal abnormality of 50-plus-year-olds no longer being marketable is one of the driving forces behind the ACA. Bottom right-hand card, or the first card on the bottom right. The Knight of Swords is shown dashing into the conflict, followed by 100 million millennials. Gen X is assuming power as baby boomers retire. And artificial intelligence and robotics attempt to keep capitalism functional. Just this week we get told that IRS is not even able to understand the finances of the ultra-rich to figure out what taxes they should be paying. A traditional interpretation of the Knight of Swords is fierce and cunning. Generation X is fierce and cunning and is dashing into the fray. Please subscribe. Give a link to this video to your friends. Click the thumbs up and please comment on future topics for this. The next reading will be on baby boomers.